Welcome to the Clutch Podcast, where we bring you information, tools, and resources to help you win in your career and business. The Clutch Podcast, where shift happens. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Klinger here. Welcome to the Clutch Podcast, another edition where shift happens. So today I have the honor and the privilege to introduce Jennifer Kluge. She is the CEO of the National Association of Business Resources. NABR has a mission to ignite greatness in companies and in their people. And that's why, Jennifer, you and I are like two peas in a pod, two kin spirits here to have a conversation today. But welcome to the Clutch Podcast.
It's great to be here. And Ron, as always, I love your energy. It's so contagious.
Well, I appreciate that because some people in the household could probably say a little bit different. Sometimes it's a little too much, so I have to be mindful of how I engage it. But it's the only way I know how to roll. And it's that passion for the work that you do. It's a passion that has had us connected for well over, oh my goodness gracious, it's almost been 15, 16 years, Jennifer.
That's right.
So ladies and gentlemen, not only do I support and believe what Jennifer and her crew do at NABR, I'm supporting the organization, but there's so much content that we're going to be able to talk about today and really dive in to discuss like what way, first of all, we're going to get to what NABR does, but what's really going on, kind of the setup here. What is going on in businesses across this country and workplaces and with jobs, and it's just we've had
it's wonky right now.
Yeah,
it's definitely wonky.
Yeah. So let's
for some of us seasoned executives, this is all new.
Yep.
And there is a lot of change out there. The change continues. But as it relates to talent, there's some interesting forces all playing together. You have artificial intelligence and the focus on this digital revolution, so to speak. And then you have a huge acquisition environment, a lot of private equity, capital coming into companies. It's a huge disruption for culture. And then you have people aging out, so to speak. So you have the boomers that are like, the last 5 years have been something.
Yeah,
it's
been
time
something.
To retire. And actually some Gen X are like, it's been a heavy go the last 5 to 10 years. I might want to take a buyout or leave early. So there's this interesting swirl of stuff as it relates to talent and culture. My concern is all of the hard work all of HR executives have done for engagement and team bonding and team building. And here's our brand, and this is how we treat people. You know, when private equity comes in or when new executives come in or there's a change of ownership, it's very, very difficult for leaders to keep the intentional culture that they work so hard to build. And as a result, employees are kind of fending for themselves, and it's every man for himself environment. Saying that, the pendulum will swing back eventually. And once these changes in leadership and changes in ownership settle down, we will be focusing back again. If you live long enough, it all comes back.
Yep, it's a cycle. It's an absolute cycle.
In popularity. It'll come back, and it'll be very hard to find the people that have the skill set to build those cultures.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting. It's a very interesting world right now.
No, and I appreciate that high level overview, and I'm aware of how you have that perspective. But for those that don't know about the programs, who don't know about NABR, what you do, how you do, and that's why I wanted to have you here on the show to put information out there. Just come out of a major HR conference, right? Community is really, there's a thirst and a need for that connection right now that I've not seen before. Yeah. And so to your term wonky, I really think we're at a transformative stage where we're recalibrating what does work look like and how do we show up in it? And so, but part of what you've learned is from some of the programs. So for folks who aren't familiar about NABR, tell us about some of the programs you've got, because that's where you're gleaning this wonkiness, like this culture, this change and transition that's going place. And tell them a little bit more about what you all do.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're most famous for the Best and Brightest Companies to Work For program. We're in 21 markets with that. We have a national competition, 21 regional competitions. We work really hard to create a community of elite thinkers. And we are one of the most prestigious culture awards out there. It's not easy to get our award, and we're very intentional with it. We also stick with those leaders and make sure that they have the tools and resources they need to be even more bright, if that's a word, brighter.
Be brighter, right?
Yeah. More brighter.
Yes.
But that's what we're most famous for. But we also have the best and brightest leadership teams, best and brightest CEOs, best and brightest in wellness. So those are programs where we honor people for being amazing. And we hold them to a certain standard year over year. But many people don't know we're much more than that. Okay. We do analytics, we have surveys, we do leadership effectiveness 360s, we do client surveys, vendor surveys. We even pool employers together to help address their healthcare needs, which that's another hot topic. Benefits, compensation benefits, healthcare solutions. And what we've found is there's power in numbers. If you're, a company of 200 employees, it's much better to band together with, thousands of other businesses and address healthcare head on. So we're being creative as it relates to healthcare because, that's an important element of being a good employer.
Yep.
We are also really focusing in on skill set, leadership development, presence training for people that have never been in a career before. That's a hot need right now. Supervisor training, because all these folks are leaving. There's a huge skill gap out there. And our leadership training programs are selling like hotcakes. Yep. And we're being very intentional on that. It's our own curriculum. And then, of course, our peer groups. That's where you hear the issues. And that's where you see the emotion. And we have human resource executive peer groups, and we're there for each other. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of change fatigue, and there is this shift, is the swirl that I talk, the swirl of change. And there's best practices that'll help you thrive through it. And as we say, ignite greatness. So we do a lot. And plus our events, we have a ton of events.
To recognize those companies, to give them the due recognition for their efforts, for the culture that they build. Again, side note, this is something, and I know you'll be able to do this. You start talking about looking at those best practices from an organizational, from a leadership perspective. What's one or two in the years you've been doing this where you're like, wow, because a lot of times when leaders hear, oh, we've got to do this, or we've got to build that, or we're going to do culture, or we're going to do engagement, so we're going to do pizza and ping pong. Like, no, that's not it. That is not that's a one and done. That's a pound your chest. I've done something versus nothing. That's not sustainable. And employees see right through it. So if you think about a best practice on engagement and a best practice in that leader, what's the first one or two things that really are forward thinking, that really just required a commitment, maybe not financial dollars, but just a commitment to do?
Yeah, there's thousands of them.
I know you've got them.
And we're very proud of publishing those best practices. We do that often, and we do it through our publication, Court Magazine. But to answer your question, I think right now, and this changes, what's good now and what was good 5 years ago and what's going to be good 5 years from now are going to be different. But it's those leaders that really get to know their team members at a personal level. Some people call them development plans, and really understand the whole human. So what are their dreams and aspirations? How can you help mentor them, not only in their job, being a good manager, but being a good leader and helping them with their career path. But also, in addition to that, What's important to them in their life? Do they have a lot of student debt? So when you go to sit down with them and do their development plan, instead of just I don't know, a spot bonus or whatnot, help pay down that stinking debt.
Yeah.
Um, Relook at your 401k plans. If you're large enough, some of these 401k plans for the younger folks, they can put money towards their student loans rather than their retirement. Helping people um, live their dreams is now part of your job as a leader. It's almost like you have to be the cruise ship concierge, and making sure that the experience is a good one, but that you customize for the human. It's a heavy lift for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's an absolute mind, like it's a shift. Like you've got to
Mhm.
engage the clutch, you've got to shift the gears. It's
Yeah.
absolutely appropriate for the show. And I think that's the big thing that's taking place that you hit on just a little bit earlier, and something that I'm passionate about as well
Mhm.
too. That vacuum of leadership. And I say vacuum, the gap that is being created, and the shift in the mindset of the way we've always done it to new
Mhm.
ways of being open to listening and being fully present. I think that's what you're really talking about. That it's I have my own dance, but to me, today's leaders, business owners, they got to be good at really two things. They got to be able to build a quality team, and then
Mhm.
everything you're talking about is coaching and facilitating, because
Yeah.
younger folks coming into the workforce, they've been told a certain formula that equates to success, and none of it is self-exploration, none of it is self-definition. So they come in raw with great talent, with great potential, but no direction or understanding or awareness of how to plug themselves into that. That's my observation. Am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, I'm going to double down on that.
Yes.
We need to teach grit to the 20 somethings and 30 somethings.
Preach.
Success just doesn't land on your doorstep by showing up at 9, doing the bare minimum, going home, clocking in, and collecting a paycheck.
Yeah.
But a lot of young people, that's exactly what they're doing. And they were told wrong. They were told that you shouldn't be owned by a job, and you should be in control, and you should have a balanced life. And well, you can have all that and still have a successful career by showing up with grit.
Yep.
It's I haven't seen a lot of grit lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fatigue out there. I don't know if it was ripple outs from the pandemic, but we as leaders need to be a little tougher
Yep.
to teach what grit looks like. What does elbow grease look like? Success just doesn't happen. You try, you fail, you try,
Yep.
you go in it with, as you would say, pedal to the metal,
Right,
right?
right, 100%. Well, and I think the big part of it is, and the definition that's out there that I love using is a quote, and I'm blanking on who to attribute it to, but it just popped into my head, is success only comes before work in the dictionary, right? Like only phonetically and alphabetically does it
Yeah.
happen. And I believe, my humble opinion is, we've done so much in our education system to, I'm gonna controversial, or I'm
Mhm.
going to say it how I see it, to pamper, to appease parents. Great inflation is real. If you listen to anything Mike Rowe, it's out there, right? Of Rowe
Mhm.
works. We've done, in my humble opinion, an injustice to our younger generation because we haven't prepared them for the realities of what life is,
Yeah.
right? The reality of life is, it's hard. It
Mhm.
requires the grit, the resiliency to pick yourself up when you fall and fail. But I think what we've done is we've gamified their life in school and in everything outside of school, from their phone games to their console games, computer games. Everything is an exchange of, if you do this, you get that. And that is
Mhm.
not a match formula for the real world.
Yeah, but in all fairness,
Mhm.
there's some really amazing young people, and they
100%.
are leveraging that technology, and they are making some incredible strides within organizations. If I was a young person right now, I would look at this digital transformation. I would self-study AI. I would go into my job and not only do the job, but offer ideas for the organization on how to do it better and leverage the tools that are out there. The trick is it's constantly changing. As
Yep.
soon as you learn a way to do something, the
Oh,
technology is moving so fast that you have to be on your A game 24/7 to understand that. But there's great opportunity for those future leaders to take that skill set and use it as a
harness it,
superpower.
coach it,
Yeah.
facilitate. Yeah, that's why I come out. You got to build the team with the right people on the bus, and then
Yeah.
everything is coaching and facilitating after that. Well, let's do this. Let's shift gears. See what I did there? Just shift gears just a little bit. Let's look at, we talk about the pulse of where we are today. It's August 2026. What do
Mhm.
you see? We've got a couple months left in 2026. What's your pulse? What's your take with the people that you engage, that you talk about? How are they finishing out the year? And then after that, let's think a little bit bigger. What's beyond that? But for right now, what's the rest of 2026 look like from your vantage point, that businesses, leaders say, hey, focus on this? What
Yeah.
should that focus or impetus be on?
I think the two for sures is there's going to be constant change and there's going to be uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
That's our new normal as leaders. And developing your skill set as a leader to inspire through change. Change in the brain is the same chemical reaction as the fear, the
Fight or flight.
freeze,
Yep.
flight, yeah, fight.
Yep.
It's the same mechanism. So we as leaders need to make change acceptable and fun and part of the game, right? You mentioned gamifying.
Yep.
We as leaders can gamify the challenges and have a positive attitude about it and lead from example. So that's one. AI is not going anywhere. Some people think it's overhyped, and others are like, yeah, this is a game changer. Certain industries are going to be winners, other industries are not. These data centers and anybody that supports the infrastructure of data centers, they're hopping right now. They can't keep up
Absolutely.
with it.
Yep.
So it's really interesting because you have these companies over here, rapid growth, aggressive growth. They're trying to figure out how to scale up, and then you have these companies over here that are scaling back at the same time.
Right.
It's a very interesting time, but there's going to be some good stuff happening.
Yeah. So
Just need to stay sharp.
change and ambiguity. Get used to it. And I
Yeah.
think that the one little punctuation mark that I would like to put in there too, Jennifer, I think it's very critical, at least from my vantage point, when I work with managers and leaders,
Mhm.
that self-awareness of what leaders that are out there. My humble opinion is you need to wrestle with what that change looks like with you first personally, because
Mhm.
all eyes are on you. All eyes are on what you do, the motivation you talk about, Jennifer, the inspiration, but you've got to wrestle with it first, and then recognize and understand, in my opinion, not everybody embraces or sees change universally the same.
Yeah.
It's our experience, it's our personality, it's what we've been through that drives the grit, the
Mhm.
resiliency to thrive through that. And I think that's just a critical thing to be mindful of, because change and ambiguity, as you pointed out, and I agree, it's
Yeah.
going to keep going. It's going to keep going, but try to provide as much stability in that as possible, I think, is the call to serve.
Yeah, and double down on your digital investments.
Yep.
Learn it, find the people that know it. Digital disruption is going to be very aggressive in the next 6 months to a year. Once you figure it out, you know, take advantage of it, and then it's going to change.
Yep.
And then you figure it out again, and then it's going to
It'll
change.
change
So,
again. Yep.
digital disruption, the talent skill gap, those are the two biggies, and then of course the private equity disruption there as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
So
Let's
those are
dig
the big
into
ones.
a little bit of that, because I know about it, you know about it, people who have gone through it know about it. And it's not that it's happened in mass, but it's happened, as you pointed out, it's happening more. And there's good, bad, and ugly that comes with that. Let's just be
Mhm.
transparent. Let's just be honest. What are you seeing? You say there's an uptick. What are some of those greatest challenges? Like, hey, I'm a business owner. I'm listening to the show. I am interested in selling. I'm interested in private equity infusion. I want
Mhm.
to grow. I want to advance. I want to do. What are some things that you
Yeah.
see that, from a leadership perspective, should be at the mindset before you're inking the paper to go down that
Oh,
route.
yeah. Well, as business owners, there's a lot of opportunity out there. It's a good time to get capital. It's a good time to get investors. It's a good time to bring in private equity and or sell, right? I think the trick for those leaders is, do you want to stay in the business? And if you do want to stay in the business, there's going to be some concessions. It's not going to be run the same way as you want. The culture will be disrupted. Even though they say it won't be, it will be. There will be people that you think are very valuable that the private equity folks think maybe, yeah, we got people that on our own team that can handle that. So I think it's that transition of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, leverage the strength of those folks and take it to the next level. Scale up, make it happen.
Yeah.
Just be respectful. And I had a few HR leaders that we talked to in a webinar, and they said the common thing to address with this private equity and acquisitions, and sometimes double acquisitions and triple acquisitions, and you're on this side of it or this side of it. The common thing is the communication.
Yeah.
And to be transparent and say, this is what I know right now. And it has to come from the leadership and it has to come from HR, and say, we don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now, but right now in this situation, this is the plan. It will change, but this is the plan. And that change management and change leadership is really critical.
Yeah, and I sat in that very seat, Jennifer. I don't know if you're aware. I was the communicator. I get it 10,000 times over. I was a part, just if you're listening in, ladies and gentlemen, I was a part of an organization that over 5 years bought 13 companies coast to coast. And the lesson learned to reinforce what you've said.
Yeah.
I think it's also important that if you are a part of the acquiring company, you're acquiring these businesses, you need to be pristine clear about who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it. My humble opinion. And moreover, you need to be clear on your integration processes from the get-go. I agree with you. You're going to discover things that you can't do in the discovery process of that acquisition. You're going to find out things that post-acquisition you never were going to know until you got into it, because the way that the process works. But having a central point of communication, and I was humbled to be able to do that type of work because I got to meet people where they were at. I got to hear, I got to listen. And there were times where I said, you know what? That is a great question. I will get that. I will get my best answer for you. We do not have a plan for that right now, but thank you for bringing that up and opening up those doors, because it's one of those things that it's a change that's being done unto them. They didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
They didn't have a voice in it. Right. And I was that guy that was a part of the process, and that communication showed up 2 hours after the entire team learned that they had been acquired. I get it. But you've got to be proactive. You've got to affirm that people are going to, again, change, ambiguity, back to those topics. But that's the reality. So the more your vernacular goes down that road, the better off you're going to be.
Well, there's some best practices here, which most leaders think is if they wait until the communication is right, that's the best way to go. The problem is when there's change, people fill the gaps in with the worst case scenario.
Yep.
There has to be constant communications and say, I might get this wrong, but here's what I know right now. We still need to do some fact finding. So that's number one. And then number two, as it relates to communication, it can never be enough.
Right.
It can never be enough.
Yep.
And, whenever there's an acquisition or change or whatnot, the employee is going to feel insecure. So when you talk to a group, the message comes out this way to these people listening, and this way to these people listening. And then the rumor mill starts. So you have to follow up mass communications, face-to-face communications in group settings to individual one-on-one conversations. It's really important you empower supervisors to carry the message and constantly carry that message, because that's how problems happen. in these acquisitions is people aren't treated like humans and have somebody to talk to.
Yep.
They're treated like a herd, and that's not the way to do it.
And a lot of times, Jennifer, they go from being a true person to a larger entity being a number. And that we both know that doesn't work in anyone's vernacular
and then
or
you have the
experience in work.
turnover and the lack of employee engagement and people running for the hills and trying to get the best deal out of the buyer. And there you go.
Figure it out before you jump into that pond. At least have a life jacket. And I think that communication's key. All right. Looking forward, we got this year kind of covered. We talked a little bit about acquisition. Any future 2027 beyond things that you can think of, or if you had a crystal ball that businesses or leaders need to know, trends? We've already hit the digital side of things, right? The digital transformation. What else? And again, I think one thing that's important that you already brought up is how much are leaders looking at the leadership vacuum and transition plan as well too. So that succession planning, like to me, is more critical than anything else right now as well.
Yeah, so NABR has recommendations for executive leaders. I'll kind of quickly go through that. I'm purposely focusing on talent for this conversation, but the leadership pipeline and strengthening that leadership pipeline, training, education, mentoring, finding the right people for the right seats constantly, individual mentorship, individual inspiration, that's intentional succession planning, right?
Yep.
Make sure your superstars know they're superstars and they're on a path. Define that path for them. What does the next year look like? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? If you stick with us, this will happen for you.
Yep. Big shift. That's a big mind shift too, because boomers who have exited, it was, well, pick you up by your bootstraps, babe, and do your time and earn your dime, right? It wasn't communicated.
They need a vision. They need an experience.
They need to know where they're going. They need to be led.
Yeah. And speaking of experience, one of our recommendations is when somebody is remote, or working from home, what is the employee experience when they work from home? What is the culture? And then when somebody works in person, can be the same person. It could be this team's digital and this team's in person. What is the experience for in person? And how do those two different experiences fit into your core beliefs and culture? So that is something that needs to be intentional. People are not making time for that, but it is kind of this hidden issue that's kind of gotten put on the back burner. So we're just reminding people that experience needs to be created. And then one of our other recommendations is civility, curiosity, and psychological safety at work.
Okay, tell me more.
So, this is a weird and wonky environment, constant change. People think that they can say whatever they need to say to anyone. There's some rudeness. If you talk politics at work, that's never a good thing.
Right.
Treating each other with civility and respect, and as individuals, and respecting the cultures that they come from. It's never a bad thing to include someone.
Right.
So unfortunately has taken a back seat as well.
And I think that goes back to the intentional activity of purposely building your team, forming, storming, norming, performing. Team doesn't come together just because you say we're a group. It's a group that can become a team. And I'm very passionate about that, because far too often what you've described is what happens. And we just bring people together and expect them to operate and function as a cohesive team, but they've never given the chance to become that.
Right. Right. So how can somebody feel like they're part of a team if their culture's not respected, or their pains aren't respected, or where they come from isn't respected?
Yeah, because we just don't take the time to get to know them well enough, right?
They're going to check in and check out, and they're probably looking for something else.
Very much so. Very much so.
Another recommendation, we already talked about this, learn how to scale through AI. You've got to find a way to find automation, AI, and operational efficiency in this new digital transformation. And you're going to it's something that you're going to build and keep building and shaping and defining. It's going to be constantly moving and evolving. So we already talked about that. And then again, I'm going to double down on purposely communicating during any change, especially merger, acquisition, change of leadership, change of ownership.
No, that's been great stuff, Jennifer. Any last parting thoughts before we bring this one to a close? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great conversation on the Clutch Podcast. I consider this a clutch interview. I try to play off the words, Jennifer. You know me, I'm quirky, always have been. But any clutch ideas that you want to just drop before we call this a wrap and share our time?
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone we get to. We're part of a really interesting time, and we get to be a part of it, and we get to have fun through it. And, if we can all just kind of take the emotion out of everything and just attack the problems and issues or opportunities and just have fun.
Outstanding. No, and I think that's the biggest piece. I think it's so easy to talk about what we don't have instead of valuing what we do. Yeah. And I love you always drop a nugget every single time we talk, Jennifer, all the way back to the days of the Unleashed Radio Hour or in person and our meetings. There's always a golden nugget. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to have you in my circle, to have you in my walk and journey of this thing that we call life. If folks want to learn more about NABR, they want to get involved, do you have anything that's coming up that you'd like to put a spotlight on? Feel free to share that at this point in time.
We list all of our networking events, social mixers, celebrations of the best and brightest on our website. It's nationalbiz.org. I know we're going to be in Chicago. We're going to be in Dallas.
Coming to Houston in October.
We're coming to Houston. We're going to be in Milwaukee in the spring. We have our summit, our national summit here near our headquarters in Detroit in June. So just check out our website.
Amen. And give that website one more time if folks didn't catch the first time.
Nationalbiz.org.
Outstanding. And I know, Jennifer, you do a lot of LinkedIn Lives. You do some sharing, other interviewing of best practices, CEOs. You can follow along on LinkedIn as well and other social media accounts. All that's listed at nationalbiz.org. Right? I got it right. Outstanding. Yeah. Well, Jennifer, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for being in my corner and being a part of the Clutch Podcast today. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you for including me.
Amen. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just listened to another great edition of the Clutch Podcast. This is a production of Motivational Transitions. You can learn more at motivationaltransitions.com. I'm your host, Ron Klinger, for the Clutch Podcast. Keep things happening. This is where shift happens. And until next time, see ya. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of the Clutch Podcast, where shift happens. If today's content moved you, inspired you, or helped you shift your mindset, you know what to do. Hammer that subscribe button and share the Clutch Podcast with others who can benefit from dialing in and listening to the show. This has been a production of Motivational Transitions. You can learn more by visiting motivationaltransitions.com. Until next time, see ya.